Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast, Very Factual. We're your hosts, Kayla.
And Isabella, and VAR controversy continues in the Premier League when Arsenal traveled to St. James's Park to take on Newcastle, and the Gunners tasted defeat for the first time this season in a 1-0 loss after a very controversial game. Both sides had opportunities where they could have been reduced to 10 men after a late Kai Havertz challenge on Sean Longstaff and Bruno Guimaraes appearing to strike Jorginho in the face with his forearm. The only goal of the game came from Anthony Gordon, which would seal Newcastle the win, but raised eyebrows after a 4-minute VAR replay, which clearly showed that the ball went out of play leading up to the goal and that Joe Linton pushed Gabriel down to the ground. Kayla, what did you think of this decision?
I think that it was a push, and VAR obviously needs to get a little better because this is not the
Mm-hmm.
first time that the Premier League has messed up on VAR. But for the score overall, it was very shocking. I expected Arsenal to win, but comparing Newcastle last year versus now, it looks like they're starting their form a little bit more like last year again. But like I said, with the VAR, it needs to get better, honestly. They're really slacking recently.
Yeah, I seriously don't know why the goal stood. I really do love Newcastle, but I am kind of on Arsenal's side here. Joe Linton literally shoved over Gabriel. He had two arms on his back and just shoved him to the ground. Like, what is this? And the VAR clearly showed that the whole ball was out of the line. So I have no idea why they didn't take it off. Like it was
Yeah, sorry, but the push, it was just like it was such an obvious push. He extended his arm straight into him
yes.
and the ball was out. It's just it didn't. Honestly, Arsenal side too. Like,
Yeah, they were also checking for offside or something, but like they checked everything, but somehow the goal still stood to them. I think it was really disgraceful. Like you had so many angles, and it clearly showed that this shouldn't have been a goal. And Arteta was really mad after the game, saying that it was embarrassing to lose like this and that it wasn't fair. And I'm gonna be honest, I do agree with what he says. The goal shouldn't have stood.
no, it shouldn't have. It was so obviously out, and it was such an obvious push. It's just VAR. You said this to me earlier that Premier League is one of the top leagues, but they have like
Mm-hmm.
one of the worst VARs, and I'm just like, it's just they've been slacking so much. They just don't.
Yeah.
It's I feel like you and I could do better looking at the replays. It's so obvious sometimes, and then they're like, "No, it's a goal," when it like wasn't.
Yeah. And VAR decisions have been getting worse and worse, like you said, especially in the Premier
Hmm.
League. Like all these VAR officials do is apologize after the game and move on. It's like an apology is not going to change the score. It's not going to change how many points they got, and it's crazy.
I know, and especially since Arsenal is like fighting for spots at the top of the table, since
Mm-hmm.
everyone's points are so close, those 3 points really count, and it's just clearly the
Yeah.
VAR does not care that much.
No, and these officials that do not clearly see that oh my gosh, decisions should not be they shouldn't be like a VAR official. They shouldn't be in that booth looking at these decisions because they don't know what to do.
I hope the official that made the final decision in the booth got fired because it's just they don't know what they're doing anymore.
No. Like the game um besides the VAR, the game had a lot going on.
Yeah.
Newcastle did really well actually, and I think since it was a home game, the crowd really got behind them, and I think it urged them on, especially during that period with the VAR and
Hmm.
stuff. And Arsenal also did well. Their fullbacks, Saliba and Gabriel, looked incredible for the majority of the game, and I was very shocked with how well they performed, especially for such a long period. And we did see Arsenal missing something in the final third. They had trouble scoring. There was no Odegaard in this game or Jesus, and Saka was very invisible, especially in the second half for me. And Kedia, even though I'm a big fan of his, I think he was very quiet in this game. And Kai Havertz is still in the lineup, and he shouldn't be. This game had so much to offer and so many talking points, but the VAR decision really took away from it. Even though I agree with Arteta about the goal, I do disagree with him with his goalkeeping decisions, and I have been very vocal about that. Raya continues to look poor. He's always in the wrong place, like against Chelsea, during the Mudryk goal, and now during Newcastle's goal as well. He was just not in the right place, and his starting positions are horrible. And I think eventually they'll really hurt Arsenal, like the whole team.
Yeah, you know what? I don't want to I don't want to start to agree with you, but I kind of do. I kind of do in the sense that Raya compared to Ramsdale, they're both amazing goalies. Just at this point, Ramsdale clearly knows what he's doing better on the field with the players. The players are used to him, he's used to them. So I just feel like it would have been a better match for Ramsdale being on the field instead of
Yeah,
Raya. Raya should be that second goalie now. I think I finally made up my decision about them too.
yeah.
But like I said, like they're both amazing. It's just who plays better with the club players.
Arteta actually put in uh what's his name? Aaron Ramsdale in goal midweek during the Carabao Cup. They did lose 3-0, but I feel like for this goal that Newcastle got, I feel like Ramsdale has that height, and I feel like he might have been able to just clear it off to the side because Raya was just really short on it. I feel
Hmm.
like Ramsdale could have been there, and I just really hope Arteta finds that Raya is not the guy.
I think he's the guy for a second goalie because he does make some pretty good saves. But
Yeah.
he's second goalie material. I've come up with that now.
Yeah, and on speaking of Newcastle now, we saw them this weekend. I mean, this week in the Carabao Cup as well, playing Manchester United and thrashing them 3-0.
Oh my gosh, it was just embarrassing. Embarrassing is the only words.
It was it was like the Man United A team versus the Newcastle B team, and Newcastle
Hmm.
thrashed them so bad.
Yep.
I
And people are now even saying that people were chanting that what's I forgot his name.
Eric
Ten
Ten
Hag.
Hag.
Ten Hag should be sacked in the morning. Even players, not players, fans are now even admitting to the fact that Ten Hag something needs to be done with him.
We said it last episode that we think the job is too big for him. Like,
Hmm.
he said he wants to play the style he did at Ajax, but he can't because he doesn't have the players. But even though he's bringing in players that he coached at Ajax,
Hmm.
and I feel like maybe these United players might be even better than those Ajax players, so it's kind of like he's kind of contradicting himself.
Oh yeah, for sure. And especially it's a Premier League club that he's coaching now. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a top club. Well, it should be. And speaking of the Premier League, Manchester United and Fulham played. It was a very close call. Manchester United took home the 0-1 win, though. Only 0-1. In the eighth minute, a free kick was rewarded to United, giving them an early head start until a lengthy VAR check determined Maguire, no surprise there, was offsides. The score remained 0-0 all game, and it looked as though the match would end in a tie until Bruno Fernandes into the bottom corner scored the winner, just scraping it for United. Honestly, although United just got the win, it was very disappointing to me as a
Oh,
United
yes.
fan. Judging how they've been playing this season, it was sadly kind of expected for this turnout.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I can't be too disappointed because they did get the win.
Yes.
But, United, like, I just expected more. Against Fulham, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel they got the win they needed, and really,
Yeah.
hopefully, they can try to build some confidence off the win, even though it was very last minute.
Yeah,
Um,
it was in the 90th minute added time.
yeah, and but they can't continue getting 90-minute winners. Like we saw it
Yeah.
like 2 weeks ago. Scott McTominay won them in like the stoppage time, and they really need to thrash these teams. Like Fulham haven't been great this season, but United gave them a really tough time. And go ahead.
No, no, no. I was just gonna say, yeah, Fulham has not been that great, and like I expected United to, like you said, give them a much more tougher time.
Yeah, it wasn't even the cleanest of games, but United did edge Fulham in stats, like barely. And Fulham were very bad defensively, which I think helped United out. And this game felt like every single United game this season. And the goal was the only talking point. Bruno got the goal. He got them 3 points, which they desperately needed. And I don't really know what to say except that they got the win. It was a messy game from both sides, and there was nothing special in it, and it wasn't convincing to me. But you know, I have hated Andre Onana this whole season. I said he was the biggest fraud,
Mhm.
but Onana did very well in this game, I think. I think he
Yes, this is
yeah,
mhm.
I thought he did amazing, especially second half. He really kept United in the game, and there was some saves that he made that I was like, "Oh my gosh, is this the same guy?" I was like, "Is this Inter Andre Onana, the guy that they actually bought?" Like, and I really hope he has confidence off this because he was a good goalkeeper, especially at Inter last season, and United need that. They really do.
They they honestly do. And also during the game, I just want to mention the VAR took
Hmm.
I think 4, 5 minutes to check. And like I
Yes.
said, VAR is taking a little longer. And I remember I texted you, I'm like, what? Why wasn't that a goal? It's so dumb. And you're like, because Maguire was offsides. And I'm like, well, of course he was. Of course Maguire was offsides. I mean, I have to say he is doing a little bit better than how he was
Hmm.
previously, but he's not up to how he used to be before at all, and I don't think he ever will be. But like I
No.
said, like I was looking at McTominay, I was looking at like every other player, and you're just like, oh yeah, look at this, and it was like a centimeter, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, of course he was the reason.
Yeah. You actually brought me on to my next point like very well. I thought Maguire and Evans, Johnny Evans, did very well in the back line. I thought they really
They
held it out there.
Yeah, they're definitely Maguire at least is definitely improving. I see a
Hmm.
lot of improvement. Hopefully he can get very similar to how he was during the Euros because he's actually pretty he was pretty great then. But you just I don't know. I hope this isn't just like a moment where both of them are peaking and then they're gonna go back
Yeah.
down.
Speaking of peaking, I think Garnacho looks like your best player. I
Hmm.
think he looks like he's the one that only plays with heart and cares. Like, I mean, you could put Hoyland in there too. I really love Hoyland too, but Garnacho, he's like very young. What's he, like 19 years old or something? And he's fresh, he's raw, and he wants to win. He wants to have the ball. He wants to shoot. Who cares if he's a little selfish with it? He wants it. And
I
I
feel
think
like he sorry, go ahead.
no, go.
No, no, I was just saying I feel like he knows
Mhm.
that he's playing for the club Manchester United. Like he
Yeah.
knows the honor that it is to play for that club because it is an amazing club and it is should be an honor playing for a club like that. But it's just like you said, he has that heart out there. Yeah, he could be a little bit selfish, but sometimes you need that with the players. Not all the time, but sometimes.
Yeah, United needs to take some tips from Garnacho, and I
Hmm.
think they'll be good. And I'm starting to feel kind of bad for them, especially for Ten Hag. When he came in and he kind of flipped United around, I was like, oh my, he's a very good manager. But now I don't really think so, and
Yeah.
I just the game really just looked unconvincing. Like I feel like next week they'll lose again. Like I didn't get any like I didn't
Yeah,
there
I
was no
agree.
wow factor.
I feel like recently they've just been scraping by in their wins, and
Mhm.
they can't. I mean, if they continue doing this and they somehow end up staying in the top half of the table, that'll just be surprising. But they don't really deserve it, seeing that they literally won this in added time of the 90th minute. Like it was so close. It just I don't know what else to say anymore about United. What a game on Saturday with Man. Wait, it was on Saturday, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was on Saturday.
Okay. What a game on Saturday with Manchester City taking on Bournemouth, absolutely stealing the game 6-1. Jeremy Doku, Bernardo Silva with 2 goals, and Akanji with all scoring in the first half, giving City the expected lead. Second half rolled around, and Phil Foden and Nathan Aki scored, giving City their whopping 6 goals. For Bournemouth, Sinistera scored the only goal in the 74th minute. In my opinion, I expected nothing less from City. I mean, a 6-1 win is crazy, and like I've mentioned before, scoring that many goals in the Premier League proves how well of a club you really are because Premier League is a high-end league.
But I just want to say off topic, but very good job with the name pronunciation.
Thank you. I tried.
But like you said, City are on a different level. You win 6 goals in one game. I feel like that it's kind of hard in the Premier League because the teams are so maybe like evenly matched. But City are just in a different world. Best
Hmm.
club in the world right now for me, and it was just so easy for them. City are back top of the table for now, which is normal. I'm kind of happy that they're there. It makes it look everything more normal.
Hmm.
You mentioned Jeremy Doku. He looked incredible. He was
He did. He
amazing.
really did.
He gave Bournemouth a really hard time with his pace, with his like little trickies here and there, and he was my man of the match. Like, incredible. This guy, he exceeded my expectations. And I thought he was gonna be kind of a more off the bench player, but I think he will be an integral part in City's side because right now he looks undroppable. Like, Pep has to start him now. He has so much energy, so much
Hmm.
pace, and I just love him at City. He was involved in everything they created. He's so in form, and I feel like every player that joins City becomes amazing, and it just proves how like influential Pep is and how he can really just make the players like his own.
Yeah, like we've mentioned, Pep is definitely one of those
Mhm.
top managers. If anything, he is the top one at the moment. But
Yeah.
he clearly knows how to make players flourish under him, and he knows what's going on constantly. And like you said, it's a little more normal to see City in first, but who knows? Because Tottenham is playing on Monday, so against
Yeah.
Chelsea, the
I
one and only Chelsea.
shush. I don't really have anything else to say on the game because I like knew City were gonna take
Hmm.
like thrash Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth like they haven't been great this season. I think they've been kind of meh. So it was very easy for City. And speaking of easy games, Liverpool might have had the easiest game in the Premier League this weekend, but the Reds surprisingly could only manage a 1-1 draw against Luton Town. Liverpool dominated the whole game but couldn't make the most of their chances. Darwin Nunez probably had the miss of the season, skying the ball over the goal less than 6 yards out. Just after Nunez's miss, Luton got the lead by a goal by Tahith Chong. Just as it looked like Luton would come away with the 3 points, a header by Luis Diaz would have Liverpool fans taking a sigh of relief, making it 1-1. Very shocked on how Liverpool struggled in this game, Kayla.
Honestly, I agree. Like I expected Luton Town to get 1 goal at least, but 1-1 is pretty crazy. I mean, we saw Liverpool dominating most of the game, but we
Mm-hmm.
just couldn't see them finishing their shots and getting that win. They ended
No.
up with a tie, which is kind of disappointing. I was rooting for them a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, Luton, they have been one of the worst teams in the Premier League this season. They're gonna get relegated. But they really kept Liverpool on their toes. I think Liverpool, um, I thought this was gonna be kind of like a runaway game for them. I was like, it's Luton. They have to score at least
Hmm.
3 goals, you know what I mean? I literally thought, I wasn't worried about this at all, but this is a result that really stands out because of how well Liverpool been this season.
Yeah, exactly. They've definitely improved since last season. I don't
Mhm.
think they're at their best yet. I know they can do better, but I just expected more judging by how they've been doing this season.
Yeah, they should be really running these teams over like City did with Bournemouth. And this Liverpool side, it wasn't really changed. This was probably one of their best lineups, and I'm kind of shocked that they couldn't get more out of it. Maybe Luton is just getting a little bit better, but I don't think this is going to affect Liverpool in the long run. I think it's just one of those freak results, kind of just an off day. But I think
Mhm.
Liverpool will still be up there. I said that they're going to finish second, and I am still very confident about that. And now in the table, Liverpool climb up to third because of Arsenal's loss, but it all comes down to what Spurs do when they take on Chelsea on Monday, Kayla.
Yep. So honestly, I just want to mention because it's on Monday, we still don't know the outcome. I'm hoping that Spurs win. Honestly, they should because Spurs are the last team left in the Premier League that have left unbeaten,
Yes.
and clearly Chelsea isn't on the up, like you said. So unless Chelsea shocks us, Tottenham will win. I just don't want to jinx them. So
Yeah, you know, Spurs will win. I think they will. Unless Chelsea have a day like they did with Arsenal and tie the game.
and tie a tie will be shocking, but you know, I
Yeah.
just don't think that'll happen.
I think Spurs have been one of the surprises of the season,
Hmm.
especially with Postecoglou as the manager. He fits right in there. Chelsea, they're just bad. They're just straight up bad. And, and I really, I feel like I feel like it's going to be like, my prediction is maybe, I'm going to say 2-1. It's
Two
not a
one.
big, it's not a big result, but I think it's going to be 2-1.
See, I feel like Chelsea is gonna go into it very excited, very ready to
Mm-hmm.
pressure, but then
Like
I feel
against
like they're gonna
Arsenal.
yeah, but then I feel like they're just gonna give up a little bit at the end, let down their guard. So
Like at
I'm guessing
Arsenal.
the score will be yeah, I'm guessing the score will be around like 3-1. I'm
Three to
giving
one.
Chelsea one goal.
Okay, I'm gonna say Cole Palmer's gonna score just because he's been my guy for Chelsea right now. But
I honestly don't know.
I think Spurs are gonna get the win. Period. If they don't, the Premier League is just crazy this season.
Yeah, it is. It honestly is. But
And
I'm pretty confident they will because Chelsea has not been living up to the expectations. They had a little upside where you thought they were, getting
yeah.
better. This is their time to shine. And then
Mhm.
they fell again. So who knows if that fall right there was a, bad game or a fall, you know?
Yeah. And after the Spurs game, Chelsea have Manchester City. I am
I
freaking
don't
out
think.
over here. I am
Oh my
freaking
God.
out. Like, I
The
don't think
top two teams.
yeah, okay. I don't think they'll be relegated, like I said before,
Yeah,
but
that was
they're not gonna win.
no, they're not. They're not winning.
So
Unless they unless they pull something out and then end up
yeah,
end up winning, who knows?
no, they'll tie it. Chelsea can't win. They're gonna tie it like they did with Arsenal. And
You never know.
I do know. Chelsea are in 13th. Um, very sad. We're only 7 places from the bottom, and we have some. There's we're just horrible. United is in eighth. Eighth. And Spurs are in second, like we said. I I wish the best for Spurs, but then again I really hope they do fall and crumble and not win because City has to win. Because I'm gonna be
I
so
hope
upset.
I hope Spurs is in second at the end of the season because even though I am a Spurs fan, I really want to see City win again and see if they can maybe attempt the treble again. That'd be really cool. Go down in
If
history.
yeah, if they get the treble a third time, I feel like that would be crazy. It's very hard, but I feel like City could do it. It doesn't look like super hard for them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's difficult to do, but for City, the underneath Pep's leadership and the
Mhm.
players that they have right now, I feel like it's definitely manageable for them.
Yeah, and then this week also there are Champions League games. In our last episode, we forgot to, to talk about the Champions League, which is totally on us, but it's the same games that were last season, just replayed. So Dortmund, Newcastle, um, City, Young Boys, City are obviously going to win. Milan, PSG, that's going to be a very good game. Copenhagen, Man United, which Man United won last time. No, yes, they did. Yes, they did. My bad. I'm
Yeah.
looking at the wrong game. They did. So hopefully they can continue and get into the knockout stages of the Champions League. Bayern Munich have Galatasaray, which could be a tough game. Arsenal have Sevilla, which Arsenal did win against last time, but I feel like Sevilla can be a very tough side. And Real Madrid have Braga, which obviously they're gonna win. I feel like Braga doesn't
Mhm.
really pose that big of a threat to Real Madrid, and hopefully we'll be able to remember to talk about the games this time. It was very bad on us.
Yes.
So, which game are you looking forward to the most in like the Champions League this
Honestly,
week?
I mean, I'm always excited to watch Real Madrid.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean
I
Jude
feel
Bellingham.
like
You mean Jude
yeah.
Bellingham?
I mean, no, because you just know he's gonna carry, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the one that's gonna be the most exciting is definitely Milan PSG
Mm-hmm.
because you don't really know the outcome of that one. Both of them, it could go either way. And if it is um a win that's swayed really heavy to one side, like a 3-1 win, then you know that the other club team had an off day because both teams are, in my opinion, in the same skill level.
It was 3-0 PSG uh last week. Very
Hmm.
shocking, but I feel like I don't feel like Milan are just like a bad side. I feel like they had an off day then. I
Hmm.
think the game I'm looking forward to the most is Dortmund and Newcastle because it is uh in Germany, and I think Dortmund has one of the best stadium atmospheres. So I'm very excited to see how Newcastle fare in like that like intense of an environment because German fans are crazy. They are
True. I mean, also, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
We mentioned before that Newcastle also has that crazy atmosphere, and I
Mm-hmm.
feel like they're used to that like intense atmosphere being for them. But now that it's going to
Yeah,
be for Dortmund, it might also affect their playing.
it
So
might
who
kind of
knows?
it might kind of make them nervous. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, it might affect their play a little bit. It might make them a little nervous, like how it was with Newcastle versus PSG a little bit ago. We said that the environment at Newcastle Stadium probably was one of the reasons why PSG lost. But who knows with this game? I actually agree with you. This game is going to be good.
Mm-hmm. And that's all we have for you guys this week. And hopefully we can remember Champions League games next week.
Yes. So thank you everyone for listening. Please follow our Instagram and YouTube at Very Factual Podcast.